Before we get into the video, there are a few things I must say. I am now and officially a passport brother. I was in Vietnam for 2 months, then Thailand for a little over a month. Next I go to the Philippines. I met men from Canada, France, England, and Australia who married beautiful Vietnamese and Thai women. They all moved back to their home countries and been happily married with children for years. The trick is, they all marry high-quality Asian women. Here's how you meet a high-quality Asian woman. All the men met their wives when she was working a respectable job. I said respectable job. Not on dating apps, not in the bars, not in the pool rooms or billiard halls. These women grew up in a society where there is no social safety net. There's no food stamps, no government housing, and where child support is almost impossible to attain. They know that if something happens to the man or husband, then there is no money coming to the house. So these women work. They get jobs even if you bring them back to your home country. They grew up in a society where jobs are not easy to come by, and most jobs are labor intensive. They have seen their brothers, father, uncles work these jobs and come home exhausted. These men work in 100 degrees or 38 degrees Celsius weather. Even the police have to work in this temperature, standing all day under the hot sun. These women understand that they need a man. Society needs men. Because of this, is why they understand and do not expect their man to come home after work and cook and clean. They understand that women have their roles and men also have their own roles in the house. Plus, Asian girls as young as 18 know and understand this. So you cannot compare an American 18-year-old girl to an Asian 18-year-old girl. Here in America, if you take away the social safety net or the social safety programs and put in mandatory DNA testing, then let's see how long being a single mother lasts. So high-quality Asian women are not stupid enough to leave a good man for another man. The other man might be great, but this is until you start to live or depend on him. High-quality Asian women are not stupid.
Do you think that women are equipped to do the same kinds of jobs that men are equipped to do?
No, but are men equipped to do all the same jobs that women are
yes.
allowed to? No.
What job can women do that men can't?
Give birth.
That's
Bear
not. I mean, that's not a job.
Yeah.
It's part of your biological makeup. Where are all of the female stonemasons? Where's all the female Green Berets? There's not a single one. There's not a single female Navy SEAL.
Because we aren't raised that way.
I wouldn't even think I'd have to explain this, but I guess I do. If you look at what men do, okay? If you look at just basic jobs which are done outside, like roofing, for instance, female physiology actually is not equipped to deal with that. Well, if I was raised to be a construction worker, I could be one. Nope. There's still physiological barriers which exist between the two sexes.
We're not raised like to do those kind of things. Men are raised typically, traditionally, more masculine and to work more masculine jobs.
Oh. Okay.
I'm dumb woman, sorry.
Sorry too.
Construction workers, like I would agree that men should do these jobs, but when it comes to like white collar jobs, like I think women are just as capable and intelligent and
true. But again, work ethic
That's
comes
really
into it.
sexist of you to say that men should do the dangerous, dirty, difficult
I think
work.
men are on average bigger,
But
muscle mass.
can you name many women who you know in your friend group who are willing to work 80 hours per week on something? I could name several men who are in my circle who do that versus most women who are exhausted
I mean, I know
after doing
some,
an average
and
40-hour week. That's why most women are going to OnlyFans, because they can't even work a fucking restaurant job. They can't even work a 40-hour per week job. So they go and they do OnlyFans, and yet we're here fighting about women's natural work ethic and proclivity to be able to achieve the same results.
I mean,
as men.
you just assume
like they're not
that
willing to put in the work.
You're assuming that I only do like OnlyFans.
I love men. Like, I think men are the coolest, but I don't need them to survive.
You do actually need men to survive, and here's why. Everything that you see around you was built and created and maintained by men.
Okay.
Everything. The infrastructure in this country, in every single country in the world, is built, created, and maintained by good, honest, hardworking men that just want to provide for their family. Everything, the roads you drive on, the buildings you live in.
Are you systematically oppressed while your sewers are taken care of for you, while you have air conditioning, while you live in modernity and all modern technology, and every dangerous fucking job on planet Earth is done by men?
You're doing that's your job, and then we've got our own job. Like, that's okay.
Yeah, you do. You have a job, but your job is clearly far less valuable than our job, because without us maintaining the entirety of the infrastructure for which women's pampered asses can even exist inside of society, they would collapse collapsed. And how do I know this? Because I have 2,200 years of history to look at, to watch the progression of them literally folding like cheap chairs and being passed between enemy armies like it was nothing. They were literally chattel if we decided that they were, and instead we have massive amounts of technological advancements which have allowed for women to even exist in modernity, and instead of being praised for it, men are treated like absolute garbage.
The percentages like between men and women who occupy the jobs that are, the jobs on that ship, what would you wager is the gender breakdown there?
99% are male.
It's probably male. I mean, so we should probably analyze, aside from just the money that people make, we should analyze other sorts of gaps, right? So there's dangerous job gaps, for example. Men are more likely to die on the job gap. Men are more likely to be electrocuted to death gap. Men are more likely to be crushed to death gap. Men are more likely to drown to death gap. Do you know what delta P is? Delta P. So this often happens with like underwater divers. When there's a pressure differential, if there's enough pressure, you can get like sucked into a pipe and just basically your body can be imploded in like half a millisecond. I think the gender gap there is pretty significant.
Would you prefer being a sewage removal person making $100,000 a year, or would you rather be a flight attendant making $30,000 per year?
I would prefer to be a flight attendant.
Flight attendant. I think I'll go with flight attendant.
Flight attendant.
Controversial take. I think women in general are fairly lazy. And what I mean by that is like women don't really like to go into laborious jobs. They prefer to work an office job that's nice and air conditioned that pays them $50K a year versus being a construction worker or a power lineman making $100,000 to $150,000.
It's not lazy though. How many men do you see as hairstylists? How many men do you see as nurses? Does that make them lazy in that regard?
They work harder jobs physically.
Who says?
Men do.
Who says?
It's just a fact. If you look at any type of infrastructure job where things are being built, it's dominated by men and not women.
When it comes to the government and your body, this is a draft registration card. Now, don't mind the bright colors, right? If I skip to this page here, so this is a draft registration card that only men in this country have to sign. It's called I don't know if you're familiar with the selective service system. So when it comes to men having control of their bodies, in the event of a war, bear in mind what's going on in Ukraine, bear in mind what's going on in the Middle East right now. This idea that men have control of their bodies, it's actually not entirely true. In the event of a draft, men would be forced to go into the trenches, into the front lines, and they wouldn't have a choice when it comes to that. Now, you don't see feminists in the streets really advocating for an equalization of the draft or getting rid of the selective service system or getting rid of male military conscription.